Hello guys and welcome back to DarkHorse FM. You guys did ask for a detailed description of the recent 4-3-3 tactic that I used to dominate the SkyBet LeagueOne. Having the most goals and the second highest amount of possession in the league, went on to have most points per game as well, fewest shots against, and then the fewest conceded, I think, were third place, and most pass completion was second place as well. So we went on to actually dominate the SkyBet LeagueOne with this tactic, and I've made a quick video about this save before, but in this video I'm going to look at the tactic in detail, the possible tweaks, player roles, and internal instructions, and of course team instructions on how you can adapt the tactic in game to try and control the game the best way that you should. So this Tiki-Taka Wrexalona Tactic is a 4-3-3 possession based tactic that works very well for lower league sides. You can run it with an elite team, of course. You can try with one of the biggest sides. But I played an entire season with this tactic in the SkyBet LeagueOne with Hull City, and we managed to dominate the league and went on to get promoted long before we actually had to finish the entire season. So we actually won the league long before then. The tactic isn't new, it does exist, and it's model of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team of 2009. But for Hull City, I went on to adapt the original positive mentality that I was using in previous Football Manager games. I went on to go with an attacking mentality this time to try and focus our emphasis on scoring a lot of goals as opposed to just retaining possession and trying to probe the attack step by step in a slow, low tempo manner. So the emphasis on using the attacking mentality was to get our team to be a bit more aggressive in trying to score goals. Special shout out to Ando Vershima for suggesting that I go on to make this video for you guys and show you the tactic in detail. And like I've already mentioned, the attack mentality is the first tweak that you can go on to do if you're playing with a much bigger team or you want to control the game better in a much slow tempo. You can go on to use a positive mentality, but you can look at the tactic that is set up. It's a flat four, it's a standard 4-3-3, and then you have a ball winning midfielder in defensive midfield, one central defender and one ball playing defender, and you have a super keeper on defend as well. I think this was a super keeper on support, and then I opted to switch for a super keeper on defend duty to try and offer some solidity. The wing back on the left hand side is a wing back on support duty, and then the wing back on the right is the winger on attack duty. Both inside forwards ahead of these wing backs are both playing on attack duty. You have the prime creator in the side, and the advanced playmaker, he's playing on the left hand side as central midfielder. You notice that few of my players go on to have internal instructions. I don't think really any of them going on to have internal instructions, except the one the central midfielder on support duty. He has been asked to take more risks, dribble more, and then to get further forward. So he's obviously acting as a box midfielder and also as a central midfielder on attack duty. As you can see from the instruction, get further forward instruction has been selected for him. The inside forwards on attack, none of them have instructions as well. And another tweak you can go on to make for the striker position, you may not go on to find Trequartista that often in the lower leagues, but in the previous video, as I mentioned, I did have a player, Oscar Estupinian. He is the one player that I used as my central, let's say my center forward, Oscar Estupinian. He's currently at Leeds now. He was a terrific player, I have to admit, but he could play in the Trequartista role, and then he did a fantastic job for us. That's why I kept the Trequartista in there. Every other player that I brought in, I tend to train them to play as a Trequartista, but you can use an advanced forward in this role. You can use a pressing forward on attack in this role as well. You won't have much problems playing with a pressing forward, and I suggest you can use the pressing forward as opposed to the advanced forward. They will act in a similar manner, but the pressing forward is going to be slightly more aggressive, try and win the ball back whenever he sees an opportunity to do so. And if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when new tactic videos come up here on DarkHorse FM. I go on to test out tactics like this for lower league sides, elite teams that are somewhat obscure in Football Manager, teams that, let's say your local clubs, you're probably going to find the Football Manager teams that you enjoy using. You're probably going to test out tactics for most of these teams. Also remember to subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when those videos come up. Now, for the last tip that I know that I tweaked and that helped me get good results in this tactic was in an event of a red card. One of my fullbacks, I think it was not the fullback, it was an inside forward. One of the inside forwards did go on to get sent off in a game. What you do when you have one player sent off, either on the right or on the left hand side, let's say one of the inside forwards or indeed the wing back as well. The central midfielder here is a central midfielder on support duty and is going to cover every blade of grass within this region here, every blade of grass within this region. What you want to do when you have a player missing on the flank is to swap the central midfielder on support duty with a Calivero on support duty. That way you can offer some cover for wide areas as well. That's the one trick I did when I had a red card in this defensive position. So in case your wing back gets sent off, you can go on to include the Carrilero here, and then the Carrilero, the inside forward, you can swap him to play on support duty as well. So once you have a red card on this other wing, you're going to shift this guy from playing on an attack duty to support duty, have the Carrilero play on support, and then every other person, the ball winning midfielder and the central defender, they are going to be responsible for trying to help out this gap that has been left behind by the one player or the one wing back that has been sent off. So that's one thing that I went on to do with this tactic that helped me get good results in game. Not that the red card was happening very often. If you notice that the get stuck in instruction isn't selected here, so it's something that red cards sometimes do happen. So in case that happens, remember to always tweak your tactic and don't deviate too much from the original core of the tactic. Now into team instructions, out of possession instructions, so you can see that there aren't that many instructions, just the high press and then the high defensive line, and more often trigger press selected for the team, and then everything else has just been left blank. There was no need to go for the preferential goalkeeper distribution because I have a Trequartista in here and it's not his instruction to try and force the goalkeeper to make those mistakes. You can see the in transition phase, I only kept the counter press instruction, every other thing is completely blank. And then the in possession instruction, the shorter passing and lower tempo has been selected for this tactic. Even though we're using an attacking mentality, that way we're going to be a bit more dynamic, even though we're playing with a slightly lower tempo. Being more expressive has also been selected with the dribble less instruction. It works for us trying to control the game and retain possession, play out of defense and walk the ball into the box. Instructions were also relevant for this tactic to work. Now the last few tips we're going to look at is the opposition instructions and the set piece routines. So for the opposition instruction, you can see currently it's blank right now. That's because there isn't really a game going on, and which is quite good for us. So we can go out, you can see how I'm going to go on to apply opposition instructions in this case. And now every role is every position is active now, so there isn't a formation on screen. And what I like to do in this sense is to look for the central defender that probably has low bravery and low anticipation or awareness, something like that, and go on to trigger press that guy. And then the defender that is a bit more controlling, that is calmer on the ball, is the one central defender that I'm going to want to type mark, so the goalkeeper can somehow avoid playing the ball to him, and then the other guy is going to be the player that the goalkeeper will likely play the ball to because he's unmarked, but then trigger press is selected on this guy. For wing backs and full backs, I tend to show them to wide areas, show them to their weaker foot, so they don't go on to cross the ball, and then try to put them on normal tackling. Sometimes you can go hard if you want, but I like to do it on normal tackling. Central midfielders and defensive midfielders. For DMs, I kind of like to go to trigger press the DM as well. Central midfielders, depends on who's the better creator in the side, who is the better passer. I tend to put the better passer on type marking and then trigger press the other central defender that is alongside him, that is like the dynamic one. So trigger press that guy and then put the other guy, which is the creator, on type marking, and then trigger press the other central defender. This is kind of what I was doing most of the season, game in, game out, as it was going on. And then the strikers, that one is kind of debatable. You can choose to type mark the striker. Also remember that as you're type marking him, it means that one of your defenders might get pulled out, so just be aware when you're doing all those kind of stuff. For set pieces, I kind of kept it the same with what usually works in Football Manager. The game hasn't changed that much this year, so to be honest with you, near post corners do work. So have your best striker or your best header of the ball. This was Oscar Estupinian. I should probably change this player now because I know that my central defender is going to be the one here anyway. So have your two good headers. One player, let me say the best header, have him on the near post. I think I've said this like 5 times. Have your best header looking around the near post, and then your second best header standing at the near post, and then have your best corner taker across the ball to the near post. That works out for this tactic, and you can have more than one routine. So you can have this one as your routine number 1, and then have the other set piece routines that you like. Go on to create them. If you need if you need a video on set pieces, I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can look at how the set piece routine for near post set piece has been looked at in detail and tested, and you can see how to create your own set piece routines in case of a short corner that you want to create a short corner routine. I'm going to attach those links in the description so you can get those videos for yourself and see how they work. I didn't really touch anything besides set pieces. Left and right, I kind of kept it awfully the same, and it has worked, and it helps us get good results in the league, and it actually helped us to go on to win the league eventually, which was quite comfortable. And for the most part, even though the season was looking quite shaky, we were quite comfortable for most of the time. I actually remember the 6-3 victory over Sutton, and then the 9-0 victory over Wellston away from home. Then followed up with a 6-0 win over Stockport in the Papa John's Trophy, 5-0 win over Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup, and then 5-0 against Accrington Stanley. There are a lot of good wins in there, a lot of consistent victories as well. We did have trouble against Stoke City, but that's just a one-off game against the FA Cup. And then when we lost in the FA Cup, 4th round replay, I didn't really cry over it too much. I realized that I could just focus on the league now, and then I went on to win the Papa John's Trophy This is the semi-final. Yeah, we went on to win the entire tournament. I think the Papa John's Trophy in the final, 4-0 win over West Ham's under 21. It was quite good. And then the final game of the season was against Rochdale, and by now we had already won the league. So we started resting some players here. And then the 4-1 win over Rochdale was the final game of the season. So if you do want to check out the tactic, I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can download the tactic for yourself. It's the Wrexalona Tactic. It's not really new. It's something I've created before in previous Football Manager games, but I've tweaked it for Hull City now. And then as you've seen how you can go on to tweak the tactic for yourself. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, remember to leave a like on it and also to comment down below. And also remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when more tactic videos come out like this here on DarkHorse FM. I'll catch you guys much later. Thanks for watching.